Welcome everyone to a new series on the channel, unlike anything I've done before. A couple of weeks back, my youngest son got an Oculus Quest 2 for his birthday, and immediately I knew I had to try sim racing on this headset. But there were a lot of unknowns for me. First and foremost, I had never tried VR before in any form, much less in sim racing. The second unknown was my PC. I've talked many times here on the channel. My PC is about 7 years old at this point, and it wasn't even top of the line when I built it 7 years ago. So I wasn't even sure that it would be able to handle sim racing in VR. So there were a lot of unknowns, but as soon as I got it to work at a satisfactory level, I knew I had to share it with you guys because this really did change everything for me. It feels like I'm rediscovering sim racing. In fact, it was so different for me that tracks that I have run thousands upon thousands of laps at previously now felt brand new because of this VR perspective. So I thought, what better way to bring this to the channel than to combine it with my other favorite part of sim racing, which is a career mode, something that's been sorely lacking here lately in sim racing. So we've brought what you see on the screen right now. It is a custom career mode through a spreadsheet, and we're going to spend most of our time focused on the fun aspects of VR in this particular series. So what I've done is all of the technical stuff about my settings on the Oculus Quest 2 or my PC specs or any of the individual graphic settings. I'm putting all of that in the description of this and subsequent videos, so we don't have to worry about all of that. That's not what this series is about. This is about focusing on the fun, the sheer enjoyment of sim racing in VR, and particularly for me, since it is so very new to me. So I do have an Oculus Quest 2 with a 7-year-old PC, and can VR work? It absolutely can, and I'm having a blast doing it. So our first video today, we need to get started in our custom career mode. So what we're going to do is talk a little bit about the spreadsheet and what it's designed to do, but we're not going to get too deep into this. We'll cover more of this spreadsheet as it becomes relevant moving forward in the career mode. So what we're going to be doing is following a NASCAR path, so a pavement oval path through the iRacing platform primarily. Now, why iRacing? Well, iRacing was very much a plug-and-play experience for me in VR. Very easy to set up, almost no setup whatsoever once I got the Quest 2 headset connected to the PC. So it worked out very nicely, and of course it's got a lot of great oval content, and since they've added the AI functionality in iRacing, it made the perfect choice. Now, that's not to say that we're going to be exclusive to iRacing. Who knows what we might do in the future, but that's going to depend on the level of enjoyment that I have with the series and the support that you guys have for the series here on the channel. My plan is to start us out in the super late models. Absolutely love these cars. I've grown up watching these cars compete, and now we have a chance through iRacing to do the same. So we're going to start out in the super late models, and we're going to spend 1, 2, who knows how many seasons in there, because we're going to need to earn money through sponsors and through our finishing position in order to move up the NASCAR ladder. And our next step would be the trucks. So the NASCAR trucks would be step 2, and then we'll see where we go from there. Maybe we go Xfinity, maybe we can jump directly into Cup on a limited schedule. I have no idea, but that's part of the fun. So many unknowns with this. We have no idea how this is going to turn out. What we do know is that we're going to have a lot of fun doing it. As we get started today, I want to say a huge thank you to Nicholas Mowry for putting all of the time and the effort into this wonderful spreadsheet and then sharing it with the sim racing community. Without him, none of this is possible. So again, a huge thank you to Nicholas Mowry for sharing this with the community. Now, as we get started today, a few things to keep in mind. Number one is I have changed a lot of the dollar figures in here, the 180,000, 4.75 million, and so forth. A lot of the numbers that you see throughout this career series, I have changed from the original spreadsheet. And the reason I did this wasn't so much for it to be realistic as it was for the numbers to fit within the framework of what we're trying to accomplish in this series. So keep that in mind as we move forward. If some of these numbers don't quite look right, just understand that a lot of this was a very specific reason. And I will also tell you that whether we're talking sponsorship money or the payouts from race to race are all designed around performance. So the better you finish, the more money you get. And I don't just mean by a little bit. It is favored heavily to finish well, particularly if you are on the podium. The top 3 to top 5 are where all of the money is. So we're going to be fighting hard, tooth and nail, to try to get to those top 3, top 5 slots, race in and race out, because that's where all the money is. Again, both on the payout side as well as the sponsorship side. So it's just a little extra bit of motivation here within the series. So the first thing we need to do is buy our car. Our starting balance that you see in the top left-hand corner is $225,000. We're about to spend $180,000 of that to purchase our super late model. That'll leave us a little bit in the bank just to cover some of the initial expenses, particularly if we run into a lot of damage early on in the season. So we want to go ahead and purchase the buy car. That'll run the script. It'll take it just a second usually to now move that pavement super late model over to our My Race Shop. And you can think of this as our virtual garage. This is going to keep track of all of the vehicles that we have or have had in our virtual career. So right now we have our super late model, and a couple of things I want to point out on this screen, and we'll talk more about all of the information available in this spreadsheet as the series moves along. But I do want to point out that you see a resale value right here. We're not going to be using that resale value when it comes time to sell this vehicle. Instead, we're going to be using something much closer to just pennies on the dollar, a much lower value, because it doesn't seem realistic to me that we could pay $180,000 for a vehicle, whether that's a realistic amount for a super late model or not, and get back a huge portion of that if we sell within the same season. So we're going to be using a number much smaller than that whenever it comes time to sell this ride and move on to a new ride. Also, you notice that we're starting in the year 2020. I left that alone simply because there's so much going on in this spreadsheet and everything is linked together. It was just easier to leave everything alone than to possibly move any potential errors into it by trying to change and update the year. So I just left it alone. So with that in mind, now we have our very first ride. We need to hop over to the first season, which again is 2020 for our purposes here. And we need to set up a few things as we get our season started. So the vehicle age was 0. That's going to populate the AI relative strength over here in the corner. We're not really going to rely on that. We're going to use the highest difficulty AI we can, regardless of a lot of other issues, and we'll make changes to the AI settings as need be, rather than worrying about having too rigid of a setup. So now we're going to choose our series, which is going to be the pavement super late model, and it's going to populate that with a lot of races. And we're going to see this a lot. So I haven't changed a huge amount of the schedules, and the reason I did that is because I want to leave it open for us to run as many races as we want, and then we can simply change these values as we want. What I did do is set up the first 15 races, and there are a few things that I want to point out within this schedule. So right now we're looking at the first 15, which takes us from South Boston down through the Nashville Fairgrounds. A couple of these races you see end with a $sign. These are your premier events. All right, those are the ones that we're going to be focused on because those have the highest payouts. And those are going to be Bristol, Martinsville, and the Nashville Fairgrounds, my absolute favorite track on this planet. So I cannot wait to get to that track and race. So most of these will be normal payouts, but we do have a few massive payouts, and those I wanted to point out from the very beginning. All right, so we're here at race number 1. And you can see we still do have a little bit of money in the bank account if we hop over to the financials tab. And this is a tab we're going to be using a lot. And right now we have $45,000, and you can see our starting money and the money that we have put out to purchase our very first vehicle. All right, so we are all set to go. I'm going to go ahead and change this to race number 1, and that's going to drop our race costs in there. And then we'll have our finish to update, as well as our incident count and our qualifying position. For right now, we're going to be qualifying in the back of the field. That's just going to make it more fun to try to pass more cars. So now that we have everything set up, the good news is in subsequent videos, we'll be able to fly through these screens because we'll have minimal updating to do, but it did take us a little bit longer today as we needed to get the initial setup out of the way. So our very first race will be South Boston, then we're headed to Dover, Thompson Speedway, USA Speedway, and then Bristol. Those are our first 5 races. It's time to head to South Boston.
Line up on the outside. Pit road is closed. We've put in plenty of fuel to finish the race.
Well, that's good to know. All right, folks, we are ready to go. 50 laps at South Boston. We'll be using an AI skill spread of 80 to 105. The goal is for us to be able to keep up, obviously, but I'm not looking for us to have the absolute fastest car in the field. We're just starting our career, remember? That's why we're starting in the back. We're just trying to get the feel for this. And I can tell you the feel is very different here in VR. All right, so 2 laps to green. Now, your screen and my screen are going to look a little bit different. I tried to get them as close as possible, but I did have to make some compromises for recording purposes because all of these things take a lot of strain on the PC. So we're doing the best we can with it. For me, I'm still amazed that I can do all of this on a 7-year-old PC with an Oculus Quest 2. I mean, this is pretty amazing for me, and I am very happy that we're able to do this at all. So here we go, starting in the rear.
Green flag, green flag.
The setup I am using is nearly identical to the iRacing setup, and I plan on doing that at most of the track. Oh, look out.
Outside.
Now, we do not want contact. I think he said 3 wide. I'm going to have to turn up my spotter volume.
Stay low. Clear to the top. Outside. Stay on the bottom.
I have run some laps at South Boston previous to this, but I can tell you, this is definitely not a good track for me. This track is so tight, it's so sensitive to your inputs. I love it, but I'm just not good at it. So we got a bit of a gift there on the initial start. The outside line got all jammed up. Not sure why. And not really going to worry too much about it. What I hope we get is some good racing. 50 laps will go by quickly, but it's still a lot of laps in all of this traffic. So right now I'm essentially trying to paint this yellow line to give these guys plenty of room, because you can see where they want to run on the track, and it's not down here where I am. So that's good for me right now as we try to get used to everything.
Stay low.
The good news for me right now is that nobody's really running away from me. I don't have tons of speed, and I'm not exactly blowing their doors off, but I was a little worried that I wouldn't be able to keep up, particularly at this track.
Keep to the bottom. You're on the bottom, 3 wide.
Oh, 3 wide.
Hold your line. Got one outside. Still there. Still there. Clear outside. Got one outside. 3 wide.
All right.
On the bottom.
Come on, guys. No 3 wide.
Still there.
This is not what I need.
Keep to the bottom. Keep low. You're on the bottom, 3 wide. Outside. Still there.
Wow, 3 wide.
Still there.
Yikes.
Keep low.
That's too much 3 wide.
Keep low.
Unless I'm the one who initiates it. Then I'm okay with it. Isn't that always the case?
Stay low.
So we want to minimize contact, because contact costs money to fix the car, and that is only going to slow down our progression.
Keep low.
And the last thing we want to do is slow down our progression, because we are trying to make it into NASCAR.
Stay low.
Just cannot get off the corner, mainly because I am very tight in the center, which is to be expected given the line I'm running. But this very much feels like we're starting a career, like we're just getting started in the late models. Because I purposefully did not visit a lot of tracks in VR, because I wanted you guys to get the real experience straight from me.
Outside.
What I did do is I spent most of my time testing at Nashville Fairgrounds, because that is absolutely 100% my favorite racetrack on this planet. So I had to start there. And so that's where I gathered all of my data as far as, you know, could the CPU and the graphics card make this happen, and how was it all going to work out, and if it was going to work out. And so I gathered all of my data there.
Keep to the bottom. Clear outside. Got one outside.
And I did do a little bit of testing, just literally a few minutes, at a few other tracks, just to see if the data correlated that I had gathered. But other than that, I am visiting all of these places for the first time. In VR, that is. All right, we have got, I think that's the 28 on our outside.
Stay low.
And I am really going to try hard here to see if I can get by him.
Keep low.
But right now, you can see I'm trying to use a little bit more of the track in the center and diamond it just a little bit, because if he's moving around and running a line very similar to the 28 right in front of us, then that gives me a little bit more room to work with to get this car to rotate. So you can see I'm trying to enter low,
Stay low.
let it diamond a little bit in the center if it needs to.
Clear. Got one outside.
Oh, clear, just for a moment.
Keep to the bottom. Clear.
So the bottom right-hand corner of the screen for me
Got one outside.
is the standings. So if you see me glance down there, I'm looking to see what lap we're on, where we're running, that kind of stuff. And I haven't had a chance to do that just yet, because for the most part we've been either underneath another car or 3 wide or something along those lines.
Outside. Keep to the bottom. Still there.
Trying to let this thing roll through the center as freely as I can. But I have to say, this is so much fun. It doesn't even matter. It truly doesn't matter to me. All right, I heard halfway there, so we're on lap 25. Good.
Still there.
But it truly doesn't matter to me which position we're fighting for. That's how much fun this is.
Stay on the bottom. Keep to the bottom. Keep low.
So right now I have no idea.
Clear outside.
I have no idea what position we're running in. The only reason I know what lap we're
Got one
on
outside.
is because he just told me.
Clear.
But of course, that's nothing new.
Got one outside. Clear to
Oh.
the top.
I thought he said inside. I do have, as you can see, the cockpit mirrors on.
Got one outside. Clear.
And I have to say, that cockpit mirror right over here to the left on the post is throwing me for a loop, because it looks as if there's a car to my inside every time I get mid-corner. And I think that's actually the leader back there. I think. Surely Bubba Pollard's not this far back.
That car is a lap down.
But again, I don't know.
3 wide, you're on the bottom, you're in the middle, 3 wide, clear outside.
Oh, here we go. Oh, no. Oh, no.
Inside, you're in the middle, 3 wide, clear to the top. Still there, 3 wide, you're the meat, clear.
Oh, that was awful.
Clear inside.
Oh, that is not what I needed. All right, where are we? We're almost last
Got one
again.
outside.
So all of that work we did.
Keep low.
So the contact wasn't too severe,
Keep low.
but the leader just got tired. He got tired of being down there. He put us 3 wide and essentially wrecked us.
Still there. Clear. Outside. Stay low. Stay on the bottom.
I had thought by running the bottom down here that I would be sort of out of the way, because where the AI want to run is sort of that second groove and then a little bit below that, but not down here where I am.
Keep to the bottom.
Well, that definitely does not help anything. All that hard work we did,
Stop. Got one
as you can see,
outside.
everybody's just filing by now. The leaders are just filing by.
Stay on the bottom. Keep low.
Which is not good,
Clear outside.
because I'm still looking for cars that I can pass to gain positions back. And I don't
Got
see
one
any.
outside. Stay on the bottom. Stay low.
Which is mightily unfortunate.
Clear.
Well, so much
Got
for
one
my plan of
outside.
trying to stay out of the way.
Stay low. Stay low.
But yeah, that position he put me in there as the leader, again, I think that was Bubba.
Stay on the bottom. Clear outside. Outside.
That was never going to work.
Keep low.
Not for me, anyway.
Keep low. Keep low.
I was giving him all the room I could give him.
Clear outside.
But that is why they call it racing. He made a decision that it was time for him to go.
Ten laps to go.
All right, 10 laps to go. This has been an adventurous race.
Inside.
Yep, I thought I saw a car down there.
Clear. Inside. Still there. Slow car ahead. Car stopped ahead. Clear.
Oh no, we got
No
cars
flags
stopped.
out. Line up single file. Pit road is closed. Top about 2. Job.
All right. So we got 10 laps to go. I don't believe caution laps will count. All right, it says past the 2 car. All right, we'll get up there and do that. I believe I turned that off. Let's put it this way. I intended to turn that off, and it looks like I did. So we are in next to last, or no, I'll take that back. We're in 28th, not 30th, not 29th. So we have, hey, we've passed 2 cars. And even after we got involved in that wreck, everything was still fine. So we got 42 of 50 laps. Woo! This has been a rough one. What a better way to start. So one of the things I have done, now that we have just a moment here, one of the things that I have done is turned off the arms, the driver arms. I found that in VR that was really throwing me off and messing with my brain, so I had to turn those off. Do we come into pit? We certainly could. but I am not. No doubt it would be very advantageous for us to do so. Because we could use the tires.
2, cowboy.
Now, part of it is, I'm not sure exactly where we're...
Linda 21, cowboy.
Come on.
Linda 50, cowboy.
Oh.
Linda 18, cowboy. Linda 100. 11, cowboy. Linda 11, cowboy.
This is my reminder that we're a lap down. Is what this is. So we can get... Oh, no! Good job, guys. Good job.
Catch the 35, cow. Okay, bud, green flag next time by.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Nothing like some slamming on the brakes there. Well, that cost us 2. I mean, I'll have to see what our incident count is after the race, but this is definitely costing us some money. I don't think it'll cost too terribly much because the way he's got the spreadsheet designed, it doesn't have a huge amount, but it'll be probably a few $1,000s.
Pace car's leaving.
All right, here we go. Let's run these last 8 or 10 laps.
Green flag, green flag.
Let's get some rhythm going.
Got one inside.
Oh, look out.
Clear to the bottom.
Did not know he was
Got
there.
one outside. You're in the middle, 3 wide. Inside, still there. Clear to the bottom. Got one outside.
All right, this spotter's killing me.
Stay low. Stay on the bottom. Keep to the bottom. Keep to the bottom. Clear. Got one outside. Clear to the top. 5 laps to go. Got one
All right,
outside.
5 laps. Let's make these 5 good laps.
Clear.
Yeah, this is a very different racetrack when you can use more of the track instead of just trying to keep around the bottom like I was.
2 laps to go.
Because I was really just trying to have a smooth, clean race for our very first race. And you can see that didn't work out.
White flag next time by a stripe.
Also, I cannot see the flag. It's in the very top left-hand corner of my screen. I mean, if I look up there...
Clear to the top.
All right, that should be it.
There's a flag. It's over.
Yeah, there we go. But yeah, that's hard for me to
Let's
tell.
Get out of here.
Woo, get out of here is right. And I mean right. All right, so I'm going to stay out of the way of these guys. Y'all just go ahead and do what you're going to do. And I'm going to leave y'all to it. So, wow, what a first race. That was eventful. And again, definitely not one of my better tracks. And we'll have to see how this AI difficulty goes as we move forward in the series. That's all part of getting started, is figure out what AI difficulty we need. But today's race, we ended up 24th. So the crashes, we did have damage on, so the crashes took out a few cars, and that ultimately gained us a few spots. So all in all, it wasn't that bad. Now the real question that we'll talk about next time is how much did that cost us with that contact? So that's going to do it for today. Thank you guys so much for joining me, and stick around for more Custom Career Mode in iRacing.